Hello, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about another one of my hobbies, cross stitching. So this is something new I've discovered since I've gone back to cross stitching. I used to use hoops, and there's nothing wrong with hoops. They're not still being used or anything. They look like that. A lot of people still have them. A lot of people still love them. So I am not saying that hoops aren't good, but for me, I have discovered these type of frames. And this particular one is a Q-Snap. That's a brand name. And what they basically are these like PVC piping. And they have a clamp over it. And the nice thing about it is you lay your fabric on it, and then you just put these clamps on and it holds your fabric. And what you can do is you can twist it to make it tighter, or twist it in to make it a little bit looser. It holds your fabric how you want. I am going to try to stick with what fits inside this Q frame. This is an 11 by 11, and I have some extensions that will make this a 11 by 14. So my goal to keep myself from getting overwhelmed is to stick with projects that will fit inside this particular frame. So we'll see how that goes. And currently I have a Christmas project in there because it is January and I didn't quite finish this one yet. But the nice thing about working with a frame for me is that I can kind of hold it. It keeps my project where I can see everything all at once. It's comfortable and I really like it. What I am using with this, sometimes I will hold it, and I do have a big pillow that I use. And if I lay this sort of on a pillow, I can hold it and keep my hand fatigue down while I'm sort of stitching at it, which is really nice. However, I also recently acquired this stand, which I love, and I do have a video on this particular stand. This is called a ZFrame, and it is by Kay's Creations. It's wonderful. It sits in my lap. It's just has enough weight to it that it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't move. It doesn't fall. It sort of stays right where I want it to stay. Excuse me. And it can also work at a table. It has an adjustable arm here, so that if I'm working at a table, I can lower the arm. If I'm working with it in my lap, I can keep it at this height. It does work with a hoop frame. It works with a Q-Snap. It works with a scroll rod, just sort of any of those things. And it's wonderful. I absolutely love this. So I would highly recommend that. Let's see, what's the next thing? Floss. So whenever I used to buy a project, it always came with floss. I never had to buy anything or do anything. As a matter of fact, I used to see the aisles of floss in the craft stores, the DMC displays, and think to myself, who shops this? I never see anybody down this aisle. I never see anybody picking this floss. Like, this is always like the empty area, like the crickets chirping. Like, what do you even do with that? Well, what you do with that is you buy these other kinds of patterns. I don't know that you would call these commercial. I think I'm going to call them designer patterns. I don't know if there is a special name for them, or if they're still called commercial patterns. I don't know. You tell me in the comments. But I have found these patterns. This particular one is by Little Stitch Girl, who I have really fallen in love with. Love these patterns. But you buy your own thread with them. It doesn't come with anything. It doesn't come with the fabric. It doesn't come with the thread. It just comes with the pattern. And on the back, it will tell you what the DMC is, which is the standard type of floss you can basically find at your Joann's. Some Walmarts have it, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, just wherever. And they also have a list of what's sort of becoming called fancy floss these days, but it's basically just hand-dyed or over-dyed floss. And it's usually variegated. So variegation just basically means, if you can see the house here, it has all these multi-tonal look to it. And the DMC does not. It is commercial dyed, so every time you buy a skein of DMC in a certain color, it's pretty much going to be the same color. You're going to get consistency. If you were to buy this particular color, and then a couple months later you buy this color again, it may not be exactly this color because they're hand dyed. And a lot of people really love that variegated look. Some don't like it at all. I'm sort of a mix. I like the DMC and the non-variegated look for all of this, but I love to do my plants, grass, bushes in the variegation. So in those things, I will get the fancier floss. I like them in the clouds here too. So you pretty much buy what it is you need. So I am now one of those people that are shopping down the empty aisle. and picking up all my thread. Now, speaking of thread, I am not planning to be a prolific cross stitcher. I have several hobbies and I sort of kind of rotate through them throughout the week, and cross stitching is something I just kind of want to do casually and relaxing and enjoy myself. So I do not plan on having a giant stash of floss ready to go. I am basically buying floss as I need it for the project. One frustration I have found with that, so I'm hoping maybe someone will have a comment to share with me, is a lot of these patterns that I'm having are using the same floss. And I'm trying to keep a paper where I write down when one pattern uses the same floss as another and another. So that way I'm only buying one skein, unless I, need more. But I haven't really devised a system for that. I don't want to have, 5-6 skeins of the same color because, like I said, I don't want to really have a giant stash. That being said, the stash I do kind of have, pretty much I have DMC and then I have my fancy floss. Like I think I have some Weeks dye works in here. Are just basically going to be leftovers. Things that are left over when I'm finished with a project. I do have a whole handful of these before I started realizing that certain projects have the same colors. So I don't want to kind of do that again. And there's nothing wrong with having a giant stash. I enjoy seeing people's giant stash on YouTubes. I just don't have the space for it, and I really don't feel like I need to. I'm 5 minutes from Hobby Lobby down the street. I could just go whip up there and buy what I need. But I am looking for some suggestions on organizing when you don't want to have a giant stash. So I'm not buying a lot of the same. I do have an app that I really like called Thready, and it stores in there what I have and what I need. But if I'm using one for several projects, other than keeping it on a piece of paper, I don't really know how to track which project that color is in. So I could use some assistance there. So I have this, and that basically is going to be storing my leftovers when I'm done. And this right here is actually my working box. So basically what I have in here is I do have floss that I've bought for some of those patterns ready to go. And the only reason I did that was because they were on sale for the holidays. 4 skeins for $1. Could not pass that up. It was a 3-day only sale. So I pretty much just bought for a lot of the projects that I'm hoping to do this year. Minus the fancy floss, of course. So I do have that in there. And then on the bottom is sort of my junk drawer, where I have the tools that I would use. Here's my masking tape for the edges of the Ada. I guess I could, zigzag or serge, but I'm just using that. I do have this cool little cross stitch key that I got at Christmas time. It helps me to sort of measure in a starting point based on what border I want to have around my project. It does have a cloth counter in case you forget that. It's got a little handy dandy reference guide, so I really like that. Extra pair of scissors and these really cool little floss bitties. I do not bobbinate. I was doing that, and I found that I got these creased edges and they kept knotting, so I think I was either doing it wrong or something, because a lot of people bobbinate and love it, but I'm just not anymore. I have a different system, and I'm basically just using the holes of these. But these were really cute. And my mother actually got me those ones for Halloween. I got the Christmas ones. And then I just have bags in here which I store my floss. And I'll talk about how I'm working with my floss in another video. So this is basically just junk drawer. I don't have a lot of patterns. What I do have are in this little basket here. And these are basically just, like I said, the ones that I've bought that you sort of have to put everything together and kit it up yourself. So they fit really cute in here, and I like that. I did join a group or a club called the Stitch Quarterly, and it is offered by the Fat Quarter Shop, and it's really kind of fun. It only comes once every 3 months, so it's not going to be overwhelming, and it does come with an exclusive project. The thread, the needle, the fabric for that particular project, comes with a little needle minder or a needle tin, and it usually has a fun little notion, and then you get this canvas bag. So I'm looking forward to that, and I figure 3 months is plenty of time for me to kind of work on a project, and then you can keep this bag and use it for future projects, so it's kind of cool. So I am enjoying that, and I do have a video with that particular Santa baby one. And last but not least, I have this huge tote here that I also got from Hobby Lobby. And this is where I'm sort of keeping my stuff. And what I have in here is a lot of fabric that I've gotten. I pretty much stitch on Ada. I'm not using even weave. I haven't tried any of that. Haven't tried Belfast or linen. I'm sort of scared. I do find this at Hobby Lobby. It is made by Zweigart. I do really like this fabric. They're sort of limited in their colors, but I am going to try dyeing. I'm going to get some white and try my hand at tea dyeing or coffee dyeing, or even using some of that RIT fabric dye. We shall see. But I do have quite a bit of these, and the size on here is 11.5 by 18 inches, and they do make longer ones. Here's a big white one I got that I'm going to try the dyeing on, and it is the 14.75 by 18. So that's kind of cool. I am going to give that a go. I have discovered I really like stitching on 16 count. You can't find a whole lot of these in the 16 in different colors. Most of the colors that they had at Hobby Lobby were the 14. Here's an 18. I did find one of those, and I did find the 16 count, but in the small ones, like I said, the colors are super limited. I do like Witchelt. So I do have a couple of these, and this is a 16 count. It's Twilight Blue. You can see the size there. One of my favorites is the Chalkboard Black, and that again is by Witchelt. I like that too. It's not a true black. It's got like a little bit of a gray in it. It doesn't translate really well on film. But I also keep all my extra John James and Bowen needles in here, and there's a new needle I just recently tried I really like as well. So I have that. Oh, I think I have a 10 count even weave that I received for Christmas from Lori Holt, her vintage cloth, but I haven't tried that. It feels really soft. I've got extra frames in here, some of the PVC piping frames. I do have a couple of these scroll frames in here, so I'll try some of those. Some of my older projects I did used to use those as well as the hoops, and I did like the scroll rods too. So that basically is what I have in there. So I don't have a ton of cross-stitching stuff. I think I have enough. But if there's anything I'm sort of missing, or any suggestions or ideas you guys have for me as a newer stitcher, I guess, let me know. I would love to hear them. I'd love to learn a little bit more and maybe figure out some better solutions. Oh, I did not show you my whips. I'll have to do that in another video. So other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.